Hello and welcome to the program. I'm your host, Lance Gormley. Our guest on the program today is Deputy Hinton from the Harvey County Sheriff's Department. How are you doing today, Deputy Hinton?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who has watched the program at any stage in the juncture has known that we've brought law enforcement on because we are pro-law enforcement and we like to support those that are standing in the gap for us daily, absolutely daily. And when looking at who I was going to target next for my interview to have come out on the program, I had saw that K9 Max had just came around and that you were going to be K9 Max's handler. And after asking a few more questions, I realized, well, you're the only one in our county. So you're the sole K9 deputy with K9 Max for the Harvey County Sheriff's Department.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's quite a unique job.
Yeah, it's been rewarding so far.
Absolutely. And so just before we get into the cool part of what you do as an officer and just being an officer, I like to kind of find out who is the man behind the badge. So kind of just give me a little bit of brief on are you a lifelong Newtonian, lifelong Harvey County resident? Are you a transplant? Where do you hail from?
I'm originally from Iowa and then spent my early years there, moved down to Columbia, Missouri, and that's where my wife and I are from. And then we've been out in Newton, Harvey County area for about 7 years now. So
very cool, very cool. So in your growing up years, you're lawfully bigger than me, right? So I'm assuming that you played some kind of sport in your days. Where did you play football in high school? What kind of sports were you into if you were into any sports?
Yeah, played football and basketball throughout high school. Had the opportunity to get a scholarship to the University of Wyoming. I went out there and got my degree and played some football as well.
Oh, cool. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, really. Are you, man? What did you get your degree in?
I got my degree in criminal justice.
Okay, so starting out, you bumped out of high school, and you knew when you were going to college that you wanted to do something in the law enforcement field. Yeah,
absolutely. I was kind of luckily I was able to graduate high school a semester early and enroll in college a semester early, which kind of helped me out on my educational path. I was able to knock a lot of credits out faster than a typical student would.
Yeah.
But from day one enrolling out there, I knew that criminal justice and something in that realm would be in my future.
Yeah. So at first, were you thinking you wanted, criminal justice? So were you thinking wanted to be law enforcement? I mean, or were you thinking like law path, degree, or were you settled, or just kind of wanted to be involved in that field?
I think law enforcement was the primary goal. My father was an officer for a number of years.
Okay.
I really enjoy the law side of it as well. But with that, obviously, comes a lot more schooling, a lot more money you have to pay to learn some more stuff. So.
Yeah, double schooling almost.
Yeah,
and then in that, I don't know what in Wyoming what their law degree programs look like, but that might have been having you move somewhere else or wherever else to try to do a whole new, basically 4 years. I mean, it's not, but it is. I mean, the intensity of those programs is like 4 years of education in 3. So you got to send a shout out to those people.
One thing, if you can know you only have 4 years to get through for your bachelor's, but knowing you have another 4 on top of that is a little daunting sometimes.
Yeah, no thanks. I know I'm in the seat myself, and it's you really have to just, as you get on, start thinking, man, do I really want to bite off any more of this schooling thing?
Yeah. So it's a thing you have to be fully committed to if you're going to do it.
Okay. So then did you just go from 4 years in school to then immediately having a job?
So I graduated the University of Wyoming. I had a internship I was able to do through the sheriff's office back home in Columbia. I knew right away that was the path I was going to take, and had that set up, got my last credits, and then enrolled in the police academy in Missouri.
Okay.
That's kind of a little different than the way the state of Kansas does it. That was something I had to fund myself, put myself through it, and for about 3 or 4 months. And then once I graduated there, basically go seek out agencies that are hiring.
Yeah. So in Missouri, which is different than Kansas, you're saying that you get hired on a law enforcement agency in Kansas, and then they normally fund your going to the program through the program to be a law enforcement officer. But in Missouri, you just have to go and do the thing, and then hope that somebody hires you with the credentials that you have.
Yeah. Some of the bigger agencies, Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, those agencies, they have their own academies.
Okay.
Depending on certain agencies' budgets, where they are staffing wise, they may sponsor somebody through the academy. But there was probably a good over 50-60% of my class that was a self-sponsored person.
Wow.
You write the check yourself and
Yeah.
Go start applying after that. So
I mean, that's a deal. That's a like a worldview shocker for me.
yeah, it's a thing that, again, you have to be committed to be able to go 3 to 4 months, 5 months, depending on the time you get in, without a job, without a paycheck, and then not having the promise of a job at the end of it, and you have to go apply, and that takes a couple of months as well. So it's definitely a commitment that you have to be 100% on board with.
Huh. Okay, so you're in Missouri. You're interning at this point. Did they go ahead and hire you on full time, or did you move to another location to be a full time officer?
Yeah. So I've interviewed for a few places right there at home. Ended up my then longtime girlfriend, was in Kansas City. We decided that was probably the best place to move for us, and I was able to get hired on at the sheriff's office up in Kansas City and worked there for 3 years prior to moving out this way.
Okay, so I guess that's a little bit different of a. I'm going to assume you didn't specify which county in Kansas City, but you're saying Kansas City, so I'm thinking Kansas City proper, right? So you're dealing with a lot of large city issues that maybe some of us don't see around here.
Yeah, so I kind of had the benefit as Platte County is the county I work for. It's a unique county where the southern half of it's in Kansas City, the city of northern Kansas City metro area. But the northern part of Platte County is very, very rural.
Okay.
So you can go from chasing cows out at the north end of the county to some pretty more intense calls in the southern part.
Things that happen in the cities that we don't live in. I mean, when you think about it, there's certain things that happen around here, and people are like, well, that shouldn't be happening here. I mean, where we live.
Absolutely.
That's something that happens in the city.
Yes,
so you're dealing with, I'm not going to say a different type of policing, but you've got two different types of days you could have in an instant. And then what were you just a patrol officer there? Is that what you were doing there, or were you involved in doing other things?
Nope. So when I first started there, a lot of the counties in Missouri, you have to start in the jail. Okay. It's a requirement, and then work your way to the road. That's something I did there. I was in the jail and then worked my way to the road. But I was there just over 3 years. And out of the jail, it was just strictly on the road, no special assignments or anything extra like that at that time.
So, wow, you just threw another one at me. So it's similar to us. Well, I would say in Kansas, there's a lot of departments that are sheriff's departments that just, I don't know if it's tradition or whatever, but that you get hired on. I know that's the way Harvey County is, as a jail deputy. And then from there, you go to the road. So, and that was your case there as well.
Yeah, so a lot of places it's an option if you can promote out of the jail and come to the road. For a lot of Missouri counties, it's a mandatory thing. When you get hired, you know that you're going to be starting in the jail as deputy. And then from there, when road spots open up, you can test for them and promote out to the road. Okay.
That's actually pretty interesting. I'm learning all kinds of things as we walk through this about law enforcement in another state.
Yeah.
What was it? So I guess I'm to the point here where I'm wondering, well, what brought you to Harvey County? You're out here doing the thing, and now you're here. So
yeah, if you would have asked me that probably 6.5 years ago, I would have asked the exact same thing. What brought us out here? My wife had a medical residency in Wichita. She came out here and worked for a little while and interned and met the people out here and fell in love. Absolutely loved the people, the program. I thought, hey, there's no way we're moving to Wichita, Kansas and out this way. And came out to visit, and within a few minutes I knew that we'd be moving out here. Yeah. So that's what brought us out here.
So it was attractive. Now, when you say out here, you mean the Wichita metro area or specifically like Harvey County?
She worked in the Wichita metro area. We lived just on the north side of Wichita in Keachai for a little bit.
Very cool.
I got hired on originally at the Newton Police Department, and I was there for 3 years prior to moving over to the county.
Okay, very good. Another thing didn't know. So when you moved down here, then you just were looking for maybe law enforcement agencies to transfer to.
Yeah.
And then Newton became a spot that was attractive.
Yeah.
So then you just applied, and they hired you.
Yeah.
They're looking for good officers, and you were a good officer, so they said, let's that make a fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I really had no idea or clue we'd be moving out this way. So when we decided, this is what we're going to do for her career, I had a couple window browsers open. One was Google Maps, and the other one was the open vacancies for law enforcement agencies. And I was trying to see what was closest to Wichita and how far a drive they were. And some were, not knowing anything about Kansas, it was kind of a process of elimination. There were, I think, 3 or 4 agencies right around the Wichita area within, 30, 45 minutes that were hiring at the time, applied, and I found a good fit at Newton.
Yeah. So, and I guess I got to throw you some low balls here, or some soft balls here. But so why Newton? What attracted you? I mean, about Newton to make the choice of Newton over other choices?
I think they are very proactive in their policing, their policies, their strategies, and they're keeping up with the times, I think, really well. They have a lot of resources. I say for a small agency, but for a smaller town, of 20, 25,000 people, I think they're one of the agencies that are on the forefront in policies, equipment, and very supportive in their people. So it really was a really good fit for me.
Good fit. So then, once you're here, you were for how many years? You said as a Newton.
It would have been I think right around 3 years, just over 3 years. I was with the city.
Okay, so. And then just once again, what did you do for the city?
So the city, I was just assigned to the road.
Okay.
Just a road guy. Didn't have any extra specific responsibilities there.
Well, very cool, very cool. And then, kind of walk me through what led you to the sheriff's department. Yeah.
So I always enjoyed my time at the sheriff's office previously. You got a lot of room to go out there and kind of do your thing. Our sheriff's elected, and we serve the people. So I really enjoy getting out of the city limits and out into the counties and interacting with those kind of people. Had some opportunities that were a possibility at the county, so we decided, had a number of conversations with the sheriff. I don't think I ever found one person to say a bad thing about Sheriff Gay.
Yeah, no.
So I really, really respected that, and decided to make the change over to the sheriff's office.
Very cool. And then just listening to your story, is that kind of taking you all the way back to where before you had, Newton is a small town, but it's also a pretty good sized town. I mean, for Kansas, right? You're dealing with 20,000+ people, and then everything that comes with it in our location. And then you get to be out in the rural area, like what you were saying. So Harvey County is kind of like that, except for Newton's not really Wichita. And then, we're a little more spread out. But do you find that there are some parallels with the first place you were to where you are now?
Yeah, you can, with the populations that comes into Newton with students and, the workforce and stuff on our weekly day basis, you can get into some of those higher priority calls and interact with a lot more people and very diverse population. But then at the same time, you can get out into the county and be out, I say the middle of nowhere, but, way out in the rural areas that sometimes people don't expect. They see the cops rolling by and they're like, what's going on?
They must be here for some reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Out there
it's like just helping and serving and protecting you.
Yeah.
I'm there in case you need a call. I'm close at that moment, I don't know. I would almost find it comforting being in a rural area and knowing that, if I was to need to call a first responder, that it might not be an ambulance that got to me first in a medical situation. It might be you, but somebody did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quickly to help me.
Yeah, and that's what we want to, let the people that live way out in the counties that, ambulance, EMS things may be a longer response, but they see us out there frequently and know that we're around and not too far off when they need us.
You're everywhere.
Yep.
All of you are everywhere all the time.
Absolutely.
So think about that. That's both for and against anybody with any needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're decided to come over to the sheriff's department. You already sent a shout out to Sheriff Gay. So shout out to Sheriff Gay because you're awesome. Then you somehow found yourself into a situation where you were going to be a canine handler. Just explain that behind. What's the deal behind that?
I've always had a love for dogs. We've got a shepherd of our own, and always thought the aspect of using a canine in our job is just phenomenal. They can do so many things that would take us forever to do, and things we can't do at all. Having that asset with us is invaluable. In my old agency, I never really got to interact with any dogs, never really had access to any, just kind of the way it was. So didn't really know a whole lot about it, just, and when I got out here, we had a number of dogs that worked for the city, worked for other agencies within Harvey County. So having access to a dog was very easy. I would really credit a lot to Tony Hopp. He's a detective sergeant over there with the Newton Police Department. He had Canine Bella when I first started, and Josh Lowe at North Newton had Canine Elsa. So those guys were a wealth of knowledge, and just to ask questions and to attend trainings and things like that to see what the dog thing was all about. That really solidified my choice and decision to pursue it and be a handler.
Yeah. So I guess you had mentioned that in your previous experience you hadn't had the opportunity to, departments really had very many canine handlers that did jobs in the department or that you could resource with or network with. But then here, how much, in your opinion, of a resource is a canine officer as a partner, just to yourself, but also in general to all officers and departments who have them?
Yeah, I think it's a huge step up. By having multiple dogs, people know that we have the dogs in our area. They know we'll use them. We're not afraid to use the dogs as they're needed. It really helps us, with any type of narcotics issues. The dogs can smell, the narcotics that we can't smell, normally. So having that is a huge benefit to us. It also allows us to put dogs in situations we don't want to put a person in. It's kind of harsh to hear sometimes, that they're a tool, but being able to do some things like that are extremely beneficial to us and can help us out in a lot of ways.
So you had the interest. What led to the sheriff's department saying we need an officer for this dog that's incoming, and then you find yourself as the individual that got picked to do that, I guess, or hired to do that? Yeah,
so I think I've been mildly successful in just my daily activities and proactive work and related to narcotics and things like that. And with that, I've used, all the dogs in the county when I didn't have one. I've used them all to assist me in that. And I wouldn't have been as successful without having those dogs, access to them. So the sheriff, if you talk to him, he'll tell you he wants 4 dogs, have one on every shift. It's just a huge step up for us in fighting crime. And as you can imagine, when it comes to anything, when it's kind of government funded, is finances and resources. When it comes to budgeting stuff, we aren't in a position to go purchase a dog and outfit the dog and everything right then and there. So I kind of pitched the idea of fundraising for it. We would go out and we'd raise all the money that would be necessary to purchase a dog, the training, all the equipment that comes with it, and then yearly sustain our own budget. And that's something that we were able to do. That the sheriff kind of gave me the blessing to go out and kind of get some commitments for people. Yeah. And I was able to come back relatively quickly and let them know how much money we had committed from people, and kind of got the green light. We like with anything, had a application process. Any people in the office that were interested in it wanted to apply for it. Went through some testing, interviews, and things like that. And then luckily I was selected for it.
Okay, so then that opened up your world entirely then, because now where you had, I'm sure, more knowledge, as you had expressed, just by being somebody who was ambitious and wanted to be able to learn and utilize these resources, kind of walk me through that turn. I mean, you got selected, so you knew that some about what the expectation was, or maybe where you could get some resources, but walk me through the process of this selection of the canine, and then the relationship. I mean, because you knew well in advance, I'm going to assume, what canine you were going to be able to eventually have to be as your partner. So there's a whole process there, and I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so there are a number of canine vendors throughout the country. If you ask one person, they'll tell you this one's the best. If you ask another person, that they're going to have their favorite. So it took a lot of research on our part, calling vendors, calling kennels, seeing the dogs they had to offer, just kind of their pedigrees, their trainings, their philosophies on training and stuff like that, and just reaching out to other handlers, other people in the agencies, and letting them and seeing what kennels they thought were good ones, and then kind of reaching out to them. So it took a little bit of process, reaching out to different kennels, figuring out which one was best for us. Eventually, we were able to go with Pacesetter Canine. They're in Liberty Hill, Texas. Actually, Sheriff Gay, myself, and Sergeant Lowe went down. We took the 8-hour drive down there, just north of Austin. Just about a year ago, a couple of days ago, we drove down there, got in contact with them. They had a few dogs for us to take a look at, kind of show them off, if you will. And there was, I think, 3 main dogs that we took a look at that were going to be ready for our handler class in September. First dog we saw was phenomenal, just an absolute beast of a dog. I thought, hey man, if I can get this dog, we're gonna have some good stuff working with us. He's a solid dog, a little hard headed, so be some learning curves for me. But I was really confident about that dog. And then we saw Max, and I thought, no, there's no way. Like this is Max. This is the dog we're gonna choose. Yeah. We all kind of came together and on 3 said what dog we thought was best, and we all thought Max would be the best one for us. Part of that went into the type of dog we want was a dog that can be social in the community. So like I said, we went out and raised the money for him. There's not a budgeted dollar for him. It all comes through fundraising, private donations, and things like that. We were able to raise just shy of $25,000 for Max.
Wow.
So part of that was, we want to give back to the community. We want the people that are donating to see right where their money's going, and be able to interact with Max. And he's that dog. He's a dog that can turn it on when we need to, and turn it off, and be able to be social with the community and when we need to too. Yeah,
I know when you came up here and we were going to have Max right here sitting next to us on a microphone, everybody. We were going to try to do that, but he was on the table, and Max is an awesome dog. And I was asking Deputy Hinton, in my own ignorance, I guess I could say, so can I pet the dog? And you're telling, this dog has multi-purposes, and one of them is what you just said, is to be sociable. Is that kind of what was one of the things that led to your decision to choose Max, is because of the fact that people had invested so much that you wanted a dog that at least could be sociable with these people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a main priority for us. There's certain agencies and certain geographic spots throughout the country that need dogs that can't be petted by the public, and that's just the places they work in, and the nature of those dogs need to be in. But for us, where we're at, and that was a high priority for us. Like I said, that we want to give back to the community, be active in our community, be able to have people say hi while we're out working and things like that, and come over and pet Max. We do a lot of canine demonstrations, so we'll go and do that for daycares, for after school programs, for all kinds of programs throughout the county. We'll help with and just kind of showcase what the dog can do and show that to them. So that's a big thing for us. Getting back and giving back to the community.
Well, and he probably always steals the show.
Oh, yeah.
Canine Max steals the show. Everybody remembers Canine Max, but who was the deputy who had them? That should be the question at the end of the day. That's really interesting, and I'm glad that our department chooses to do that, because that's just very proactive and really is just, in my opinion, beneficial to the overall health of a community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for that. I'm just going to say that. So you obviously didn't just go pick him up and then bring him home that day, I wouldn't think. So you made the selection, and then about how long was it? Did you just go up there and start meet him on different occasions, or having time, or how does that work? I guess because you guys didn't know each other to start with,
Yeah. So our first day was just that day in August, meeting each other. We selected Max, got to take him for a little walk around the compound there, and just interacted with him a little bit, and then they continued the training with him while we were gone. We did that just about a month prior to our handler class. I went back in late September, and I was down there for 4 weeks down in Liberty Hill, and spent the 4 weeks there, living there for 4 straight weeks. And we trained with Max 5 days a week, and just kind of learned how he worked, learned how to get out of the way and let the dog do his job.
Yeah,
really.
That's cool. So that is a lengthy process. I mean, that bonding even then, I'm sure the psychology behind that is that you are the handler, which is the partner. You are the partner. And they train that dog up to that point that when you get there, that takes place, you'll forever be Max's partner.
Yep. Yeah. So they do, I would say, 50-60% of the work up front, getting the dog to understand what he's supposed to be doing, and kind of tap into those natural instincts. And then the rest of the part is us coming in there, working with the dog, and to kind of finish it off. Us learning how to read the dog, how the dog works, and just every dog's got its own little quirks and works a certain way, and just for us to read those and solidify that bond.
That's an interesting process. So after that month, then Max comes to his new home, and now he has a Harvey County transplant.
Yep.
Just like his dad, his partner. Yeah. Yeah. So, right.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We made the drive back. I think like first week of October, we were back, and gave him a couple weeks just kind of adjust. It was starting to get cool around that time, living in a different place, different environment, dealing with different people.
Yeah.
So gave him about 2 weeks to kind of adjust, and we just hit the ground running after that.
Yeah. So then, what does a typical day in the life of Max look like?
Yeah, so our schedule kind of varies. We'll work days, we'll work nights, a combination. We'll go out for a few hours here and there. But typically, if we're not at work, he's in his kennel at home. He lives with me 24/7. I take care of him, even on vacation days and all that stuff. We get out, play in the backyard. That's a place for us just to hang out, for him to play, be a dog, do those kind of things. We don't work and stuff back there, and then we'll go to work, and we're available for other agencies if they need us. We'll go out and help them if they need help with anything, and then if something arises during our shift that we need to handle with him, we'll do that as well. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a different thing having to care for a dog while you're driving around at work all day. They need to eat, they need to take a drink, things like that throughout the day too. So it's a little bit of a different adjustment to your normal shift routine, but it's been rewarding so far.
Yeah, cool. So you had mentioned in a conversation, I do believe that that we had either before or during the program, but that different dogs have different purposes. So when saying what a typical day in the life of Max looks like, what is his typical job duty? I mean, when you show up to a place, is that primarily to search for narcotics? Yeah,
so that would be the primary, the main thing we do with our job. Max is a dual-purpose dog, so he does narcotics work. If that means, if there's an officer or deputy that's stopped a car that would like the vehicle sniffed, we'll go do that. Or if I think items were tossed out of vehicles and out into the roadways or ditches, things like that, we can do article searches.
Okay.
But primarily it's narcotics work, stopping cars and stuff like that. But with being a dual-purpose dog, we'll do those things. We'll also do, we can track people, whether that's suspects, non-suspects. We'll track them. We also do apprehension work, so if somebody's committing certain crimes and they reach a certain level, Max is able to apprehend them for us and assist us in that as well.
Wow. So he can do it all. Mm-hmm. He can do it all. We got Max is about his business, isn't he? That's cool. That's really cool. So normally, I'm just, this would be a general question for you to answer opinion-wise, and maybe there's some stats behind it. You mentioned dual-purpose dog. Is that normal? Do most agencies go for dual-purpose dogs, or did they go for one dog for this purpose, one dog for this purpose, if they do have canines that they use?
It really just depends. Obviously, budgetary issues are a thing. Training times. A single-purpose dog, they wouldn't have to train the patrol side of stuff for the apprehension work and things like that. So it'd be a little less time-consuming for them with the single-purpose dog. But by no means does that mean they don't put in a very, very good amount of training and time. But also, that comes with liability, things like that. So it really just depends the philosophy and what they want to do with it. having a dog that can do those capabilities is great. If you can have more and you can afford them and can keep up with their training and things like that, I think it's a great asset to have. But at a minimum, having a single purpose dog to be your second, third dogs would be very, very helpful as well.
Yeah, very cool. So you had mentioned that there was quite a bit of money that had been raised through volunteers to be able to provide the sheriff's department, or you a partner through K9 Max. What kind of, how K9 Max has a social media presence, but I know that $25,000 does not just solidify his entire life, right?
No.
That's not going to take care of everything, his needs. So surely you have to have people continue to give to K9 Max. And I don't know how you might do that, whether you have people that continuously do or something, but what's a way that people could, if they're listening right now and they want to support K9 Max, how they would accomplish that? Yeah,
we've been, I think, going back to the social media stuff, that's one of our kind of staples I think we needed to do, was to show people what we're doing and where that money's going, and be a presence on there. So the $25,000, 15 of that was just for Max, period, himself. I don't think a lot of people realize, we still need to buy leashes and collars and bowls and, everything that goes along with the dog, crates and things like that, and then that doesn't even account for our medical bills, our feeding him, things like that, training, certifications, all that. So there's a lot of things that, you can nickel and dime through, and once you add it all up, it's kind of astounding, how much that stuff adds up to. So we've done some fundraisers as well. We sell our police patches. We have some specialty patches made. We've had a lot of people reach out asking about, kind of some, I would say, apparel items, hats, shirts, and that's definitely in the works.
Yeah,
but,
that's awesome.
We also have individuals that just come to the sheriff's office and reach out to us on our social media pages, and ask how they can help.
Yeah.
And if there's, certain items that we're needing right then and there, I let them know kind of what those are, and if that's something they feel comfortable, assisting towards or donating towards, then we do that. But they're more than happy to come up to the sheriff's office, get a hold of us on social media. We'd love to meet with them, talk about our needs and things like that, and if they're willing to help and have that means to, we're more than thankful for it.
Yeah, and K9 Max, as stated before, has a social media presence, folks. So you can look up K9 Max on the Facebooks, and you can like and follow K9 Max. So, and that's a good way to be in touch with what you all are doing. That's a good mechanism to be able to reach out and communicate with you all to see if there's a need that maybe you could meet.
Yeah, that's the best way to reach us. We're pretty active on it. I try and be active with it. We don't really get into the police side of work with our posts and stuff like that, but just to show Max is, he's a dog too. He's out there having fun in the county and enjoying every bit of life.
Absolutely. He's got positive public PR, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I love it. I love Max. K9 Max is awesome, and I got to meet him today, and I'm on cloud 9.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a K9 groupie, I guess. I don't know what you want to say. Go Max, But, okay, so I want to go deep here real quick. I say real quick, but I always want to kind of get in the mind of the individual who's been a law enforcement officer for however long. You've been one for however many, going on how many years now?
This year will be 10 years.
Okay, so a decade. Okay. What is one of the most rewarding things for you about being a law enforcement officer?
I really like interacting with people, all walks of life, every different, diversity. I love interacting with people. I really enjoy getting out in the county and talking to people and running into people and saying hi. But I also really like taking bad guys to jail, right? We work hard for our money. We work hard for our lives and put in a lot of work and time and effort that, we don't need people stealing from us. We don't need people committing crimes against us. So, it's really rewarding if we can take the right kind of people to jail and catch them. And I think the citizens really, really appreciate that, that we're out there trying to find the people that are, burglarizing houses and stealing property and committing those kind of crimes that affect us on our day-to-day lives. So,
yeah. And to that point, being a K9 officer, with everything that we hear about with what's going on with fentanyl and these drugs that are finding their way to our communities, the only way to make sure and keep drugs off the street almost anymore is to make sure that there's a canine officer present to be able to do that detailed work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they do a lot of stuff that we can't do ourselves, and we wouldn't be able to find ourselves. So that they give us a huge leg up when it comes to fighting any type of crimes related to narcotics.
Yeah, and how many lives are honestly saved by taking the substances and narcotics off the street? That's all I can say. So I appreciate that and what you do as an individual.
Well, thank you.
Because you're out there saving lives. You know, you say you're there to protect and serve, but you're saving lives too, whether they know it or not at the time. So the flip side is what's one of the most challenging things that you've experienced since being a law enforcement officer?
I mean, there's a lot of things that challenge us in our day-to-day jobs, but I mean, being a canine handler has been really challenging as well. I don't think people realize the amount of time and effort that goes into it. It's not, I kind of, look at it like it's like a NASCAR, car. They don't just build the car one time and race it all year and hopefully it gets by and stuff like that. There's a lot of time and a lot of hours put in those garages, tinkering with stuff and making tweaks and making sure certain stuff works and figuring out solutions to problems that come up during training, during deployments and stuff like that. So there's a lot of time and effort put into that. Certain times it's really stressful and you think, man, I don't know what we got accomplished today. But then there's days where you don't do much and you realize how much you did get accomplished. So it's been really challenging, but also really rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. Well, you strike me as a person that doesn't look at challenges as negative things.
No.
Right? It's like when you were processing and what you had to say, it wasn't associated with anything negative. So that just tells me that you as an individual don't look at challenges as negative things. You look at them as opportunities to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any challenge is an opportunity to get better, and whether that makes us look at ourselves a little deeper or challenge ourselves to get better in certain areas, it's something that can be rewarding in the end, I think.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to say firsthand that I appreciate you coming out here and taking the time.
Well, we appreciate it.
I'm glad that I got to meet K9 Max in the flesh and be able to just learn more about what you do, what K9 Max does, how you benefit our community, how you serve our community. And I just want to say thank you personally, and I know for everybody watching and listening, thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
But before we go, and I know that we've said you've watched the program before, you know that I always give the person at the mic the opportunity to speak directly to the hearts and minds of anybody listening. So what do you have to say?
Well, I just want to thank everybody out there. Our community is a great community. We all go through our issues and have things that pop up, but I think our community as a whole is very supportive of us, of our law enforcement officers and officials, and we really appreciate that. We are very thankful to have a supporting community that if we need stuff, they're willing to help us. Especially like with Max, they're willing to help donate their money out of their pocket. It's hard-earned money that they're willing to give to us and things like that. So we really appreciate it. We just ask that you guys support all of our canine teams. There are a number of teams that work within Harvey County and different agencies. We also have a really good group of guys we train with and stuff too. So we just ask that you support them and realize that there's a lot of equipment and things like that they possibly could need. So if that's something that you're willing to help out with or within your means, we really appreciate that and ask you to reach out to support them.
Well, thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, folks. And I was your host, Lance Gormley, as always. Our guest on the program was Harvey County Deputy Sheriff Hinton with K9 Max. We'll catch you next time, everybody.